Vice President Harris and I both grew up in middle-class families, and what everyone in here knows is when the economy is fair, it works best for everyone, and in that case, we have that saying, I know you have it here too, we all do better when we all do better. That's not a hard thing to understand. That's why under her leadership, we're investing in America's people once again. Today, there are more factories getting built, more American energy is being produced than on any given day when Donald Trump was president, and that's a fact. And for these folks in the front row, I'm going to say it. She's proud to have been part of the most pro-labor administration in American history. Unafraid and standing next to Joe Biden as we walk picket lines for workers demanding better pay and better working conditions. Because we know when workers win, America wins. It's that simple. And guess what? The middle class grows and businesses flourish. Now look, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they see things differently. Trump talks a big game, but he was a disaster for working people. He was one of the biggest losers of manufacturing jobs in American history, and that's a fact. So to your neighbors, your friends, hell, our family members, if they say, I don't really like Trump, but I like his policies, which policies were those? When he destroyed American manufacturing? When he shipped jobs to China? Hell, he doesn't even manufacture his Bibles here. He outsources that to China. So just so we know, under his leadership, 83,000 jobs disappeared in Wisconsin. Now, I know this state knows. Thank God for Tony Evers and some sanity in this, because I remember. Because remember, Trump and that guy before Tony, when they went to the Foxconn, they went to the Foxconn site. Donald Trump showed up with a golden shovel. You tell me, Governor Whitmer, if he knows which end of the shovel actually works. I guarantee you that. But he did that photo op and he promised you 13,000 jobs. And he called that big glass sphere the eighth wonder of the world. Well, I know it's not a shock to any of you, but none of those jobs materialized. And that sphere, you can get a pretty good deal right now renting it out as a banquet hall, just so you know that. Once again, it would be funny if it wasn't so damn sad, because that's Donald Trump's legacy. He claims he cares about union workers, but he makes it harder for them to bargain for pay and benefits. So if there's any questions amongst our union sisters and brothers on this, Donald Trump is a scab. He will break picket lines. And the other day, Senator Vance attacked the PRO Act, a bill that protects workers' right to organize and collectively bargain. The AFL-CIO said that the PRO Act is the most significant worker empowerment legislation since the Great Depression. J.D. Vance called it a failed model. So just to be clear, the guy who showed up and wanted to act nice a few weeks ago is not the guy's policies that care for workers. They undermine them every step of the way, and that populist stick is nothing more than an act. Because they've never worked union jobs. They've never been union members. They've never cared about workers. And so Trump promised he would stop offshoring. His tax bill created incentives for companies to do this, that. He cut taxes for billionaires and corporations during his presidency, and 200,000 American jobs went overseas. So their revisionist history is a bunch of crap. It did not happen. They undermined us. Look, you all know it. We can't have 4 more years of this. We won't have 4 more years of it. We won't. Now, I want to make sure I speak precisely on this. I said, Donald Trump doesn't have a damn plan. That wasn't quite true. He had a concept of a plan on health care, but he actually does have a plan. And they did us a favor, they printed it. It's about 900 pages of the Project 2025, just so you know. Now, he made it clear. He'll do it. He'll go what's in there. And just so all of you know, I'll save you the time of reading it, but you ought to see it. It's terrifying on this. He will gut the Affordable Care Act. That's when he said he had a concept of a plan on the ACA. And then J.D. Vance tried to explain what that was. And I said, you should go back to the concept of a plan, because you explain it, it's worse. Because it's not going to work. Cut Social Security. Just to be clear, every single year Donald Trump was president, and they'll fact check it to the end of time, he proposed cutting Social Security in his budgets. And now he wants to impose a Trump sales tax on everything we buy. There is not an economist in the world who thinks Donald Trump's tariffs won't end up costing you about $4,000 per family. It's that simple. So again, for your relatives and friends who think these policies are going to be good, let's fix it on the front end so we don't have to say, I told you so, when they realize if this happens, if they elect this guy. But I don't want you to think I'm not generous to this, because somebody said, well, you never say anything about Donald Trump. Anything nice. Well, that's probably true. I have not. But he has kept some of his promises. He took his rich friends down to Mar-a-Lago. He told them on camera, you're rich as hell, and I'm going to give you a tax cut. He delivered that tax cut. So look, I know that these guys put that thing out there. Now they pretend like, oh, I don't know what Project 2025 is. What is that? You know, now all of a sudden, oh, we'll protect women's reproductive rights. You know, we didn't say that. Of course they said it. They said it every step of the way. And I said, football folks here know, you draw up a playbook, you're going to run the plays. That's what Project 2025 is. They're going to run the plays. Just so you know, in there, a little side note, they're actually talking about privatizing the National Weather Service, the weather forecasting. Probably a pretty bad idea. Probably a pretty bad idea. Look, I say this, and I know this. I am preaching to the choir. But our recital is in 22 days, people. And we need to start singing. We need to start singing. So we know what their song sounds like, and it's terrible. Well, here's what our song sounds like. Give you something to vote for. Kamala Harris has laid out a plan to build an opportunity economy, one that lowers everyday costs, lifts everyone up, leaves no one behind. We're talking about a child tax credit to help new parents, $6,000 in the first year of that child's life, let you buy a crib, a child car seat. We did it in Minnesota, and you know what happens when you put that child tax credit in? It reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. So you start investing in little ones. You know this story. You can invest in early childhood education. You could invest in a child tax credit. You could invest in children's health care. You can invest in your schools, because you can make a decision. You can buy school buses and school meals, or you can buy prison buses and prison meals. We'd rather buy the school buses. We'd rather invest on the front end. She talks about a home. These guys are speculators, Wall Street guys. These are the ones that see buying up homes and then jacking up the prices. That's what they do. It's just another commodity to buy and sell. Homes are where we take care of our family. That's why Kamala Harris has proposed building 3 million more homes and a $25,000 down payment assistance. That makes things better. And this price gouging stuff, you saw it in action. We got a hurricane coming in Florida. Guess what happened to airline prices right before that? People trying to fly out of Florida. That's not a fair economy. That's not capitalism. That's price gouging. And we saw it with insulin. Those of you who have to have your insulin, capping it at $35, make sure everybody can get it. And you know why that's not against capitalism? Because it costs $5 to make that vial of insulin. Why were they selling it for $800? And the answer is because they could, and no one stopped them from doing it, and it was putting people's lives at risk. We can do the same thing with prices across the board. And for those of you who are small business owners, you know what you pour into that business. You know how hard it is to start it. Right now, forever, we've had a $5,000 tax credit for you to start that small business. That's not enough. Kamala Harris has proposed a $50,000 tax credit that lets you get your small business off the ground. That's the way it should be.